And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
What is going on, Tampa Bay? Welcome in, listeners, to another episode of RBLR Bucs, where we keep that fire burning all year long. That is right, even in the off-season, there are no days off around here. All right, well, welcome to the pod. Welcome to the family, my friends. The name is Musab. I'll be one of your co-hosts tonight. And listen, yes, it's the off-season. There's no live football on Sundays, no game balls flying through Raymond James, no cannons firing. But that does not mean the grind stops. We're going to be fighting through this thing week by week with y'all. Hang in there with us, all right? And before you know it, it'll be draft time. And then who knows? Maybe we make a splash or two in free agency. Then OTAs roll around, preseason creeps up, and boom, we are right back in the regular season talking about meaningful Buccaneers football. But on the real, though, we appreciate every single one of you, whether you are tapping in live with us or catching this after work or the gym or the car. Wherever you're listening from, we see you and we thank you. And please keep letting us know how you feel, all right? Drop your comments, send the messages. We love hearing from you all, whether, it's on the live stream or after the show. But, of course, a shout-out to the rest of the RBLR squad holding it down across the board. We got you covered for every Tampa Bay pro team, and even a little sprinkle of that USF Athletics in there just because they're looking real damn hot right now. So make sure you check them all out. Check out the whole crew. But enough of me talking. It's time to bring in, already know who, the iconic duo. All right, first up, the man to my right. He has probably already watched next year's draft class twice over. Mr. Zach Blade, how are you, man?
What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man.
I'm excited for this draft class. I won't lie. I think I know we're going to do a little bit of a draft episode, but I'm excited for this draft class. I think it's a pretty deep one.
Absolutely. I think so, too. At least compared to last year, I feel like, this one excites me more. But, yeah, man, it should be a fun one. That's probably the big thing that's, upcoming. And I love seeing all the, some articles being very reasonable. That there's always a couple of articles in there that are just, got Bucs drafted like a long snapper in the third round from
Carter did that article.
All right, well, speaking of, we can not get rolling without the steady hand, the analytics assassin, Mr. Carter Brantley. How are you, man?
All right, my friend. I'm doing all right. Yeah, excited to talk some Bucs football. And like Mr. Blaine said, we've got some draft talk this episode. We're going to be talking about the various positions that we think the Bucs should be targeting, where they rank in the priorities, which they should be targeting more. We'll talk about some positions that maybe they could double up on. We saw it last year. They doubled up on cornerback. So, we'll be talking about all of it. But before we get too much further, hit that like and subscribe button if you like what you hear, because we're going to be talking about the draft for a while now. This is kind of shifting into draft mode, shifting into off-season mode. So we've got a lot to talk about because, like Mr. Tariq said, no off-season with RBLR. So yeah, definitely, and drop those comments like Musab said, because I'm sure that there will be some folks who disagree with our rankings. I know we don't even agree with necessarily with the rankings that we have, because we all submitted different position rankings for this, and I know that we had some differences of opinion, but we kind of came up with more of a composite list. So we'll kind of go. I'll go bottom up, and then we'll kind of discuss what our thought process was behind it. So coming in at kind of tied for seventh, we had safety and quarterback. So I'll fess up. I put quarterback as my seventh position. It's kind of one of those things where, hey, day 3, if it's round 5 and if they're really convinced that, I don't know, Cade Klubnik or Drew Aller or some random quarterback is their guy, or if will be a good backup or can at least compete for a backup spot, then, that's a reasonable thing. So I just threw that in there. But the other position was safety, which I also am cool with. It didn't make it onto my list, but it's kind of one of those just missed, so to speak. Because, that depth is atrocious. It's Antoine Winfield, Tyke Smith. Cool. But after that, it gets real thin. So totally agree there. Did y'all have any other thoughts on those two positions? Mr. Blaine, I'll start with you, man. Did you have any opinions on those?
Yeah, I mean, I was right there with you. I put interior D-line or quarterback for my number 7. It was kind of like a 7-1, 7 or 7A, 7B situation.
Ooh, okay.
But I think I'd like quarterback more because technically right now, I think our only backup quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, is Pratt. And
Right.
I'm not sure that he's ready to step in a game. God forbid Baker get hurt. I mean, he played through injuries this year I think a big part of that was maybe Teddy Bridgewater not being ready to step in either. So I wouldn't mind. I've got guys that I like Taylor Green out of Arkansas. Also played at, I believe, Boise State before. There's people, and we'll get into more detailed stuff in future episodes, but I think QB is a good one to have, especially a cheap backup.
Yeah. I mean, especially in the end of the draft where it's not like you're not, the opportunity cost isn't nearly as high because, you're the backup quarterback position, if you're not viewing him as a franchise guy, is very much like a lower priority because, if you're having a backup quarterback in the game, then you're probably kind of SOL, if you will, anyways. So, I just thought I'd throw it in there, but Musab, did you have any thoughts on safety or anything like that, or maybe you had a few quarterbacks that you wanted to shout out or anything like that?
No, I'm kind of just with you all on this. I mean, at this point, if you're getting drafted this late, we're just hoping you work out whoever you are. Honestly, whether you're a safety or a quarterback. We need reliable backups on ends. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Right.
Look, if we get you, that late and you're at least seen as reliable, kind of plugging in, when shit hits the fan and you can at least do something, I'll take that as a win. Yeah,
absolutely. The day 3 picks are always sort of, the guys that fill out the rest of your roster, sort of guys that, the break glass in case of emergency fellas. And, that means kind of maybe taking some risks on some guys, maybe playing it more safe with some other players. It's going to be interesting to see how the Bucs philosophy takes shape. I think we're maybe all in agreement in that these positions are at the very least positions that we'd maybe be a little bit more surprised if they took them earlier than round 3. Like earlier than round 3, I think it would be a surprise if they took either safety or quarterback, frankly. But after round 3, I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, safety in round 4, quarterback in round 4. No worries. But that's kind of where my head's at. And then at 6 and 6A or 6B, however you want to describe it, we kind of had a total of 6.25 and 5.25. It was interior defensive line and running back. Not in that running back was higher than interior defensive line. I was kind of surprised, Zach. I wanted to follow up with this on you because I think I had interior defensive line as my third highest priority because I don't know that there's Cansey and Vea, but that third spot, I mean, it's Elijah Roberts. I mean, I like Elijah Roberts, but is he really a starting caliber defensive lineman? I don't know. I felt like there was more of a need for a starter here than there is.
I don't think there's a need for a starter because I think we've got Vita and Cansey, and Cansey's was back at the end of last season, so it's looking like he's back. So there's not a need for a starter.
Well, there's that third defensive line spot in a 3-4. You know what I'm saying?
There's two edges and you don't run 3 nose tackles.
Well, yeah, but you got a nose tackle and then a defensive end, and then you need a third guy because a 3-4.
Yeah, that's 2 ends, which is what we run on the edge. We run edge guys there.
Well, but the edge guys are 2 of the 4 linebackers. Like the edge guys are the 2 outside linebackers.
Yeah, that's part of running the 3-4 though. You don't have Kalijah Cansey, Greg Gaines, and Vita Vea in the game at the same time.
Sure, but you have 3 interior defensive linemen lined up on a 3-4.
So then who do we have? Yeah, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. So like
at all times last season, you would have Vea and Hazel. You would have Vita Vea, Kalijah Cansey, and then you'd have your 2 edge guys.
That's running like a nickel or something because then that's only
4-3. How many times do you think we had 3 nose tackles, D end guys? Because our D end guys are our linebackers. That was like Anthony Nelson and Hassan Reddick. That's part of the 4-3, is it not?
But the Bucs run a 3-4. That's what I'm saying.
Or 3-4. That's what I meant. I meant.
So the 4 means 4 linebackers. It's 2 outside linebackers and 2 off-ball linebackers. The 3 part of that is 3 interior defensive linemen, guys with their hands on the ground. So they have Vea and Cansey, So the third spot is open.
I don't ever remember seeing Cansey, Vea, and Greg Gaines in at the same time.
So the way I'd see it is it's Vita at nose tackle, and then you got two, you got one on each side. I think that's what Carter was saying. Those are the defensive ends, and then you have the outside linebackers, and then
and last year it was mostly Logan Hall as that third guy or Elijah.
But he's
But
Logan Hall,
I guess I don't consider them. I look at it differently. I don't consider them interior linemen or interior D linemen. If you're playing the outside on a D line, you're a D end, not an interior lineman.
Huh. I guess
That's
so.
I see what you're saying, and it is classified as a D end,
So I guess that's where our miscommunication is, because I don't look at it as a traditional, like when I think interior D line, I think Vita Vea, Kalijah Cansey, and Ndamukong Suh, like that type of an interior D line.
Yeah, I guess when I said right, when I said interior defensive lineman, I'm sorry, I meant like just someone that's going to line up on the
line. Yeah. See, okay, so that's where our confusion is, I guess, because I'm thinking more traditionally, like I guess you call it old school, where like there's all these Mikes and Nichols and all these new names for stuff. To me, interior D line is someone who's going to line up over a guard or a tackle, and that's it. Like that's what I think of interior D line.
Yeah,
or not a guard or a tackle, guard or center. I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get you. Yeah, I guess like Kalijah Cansey's technically like could be classified as a DN too. Like there's the nose tackle.
He's to me, I consider him like a hybrid. Like he could play DN or inside.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that the Bucs have two, they have the nose tackle in Vea, and then they have they have the two spots next to him, and one of them's Cansey, but they need a third one in my mind.
Yeah, I guess to me, I classified that under edge.
Okay, fair enough. So we're on the same.
Yeah, I have that up high, but my interior D line would be like Elijah Roberts, Vita Vea, nose tackle.
Yeah, I get you. Okay,
and every now and then you get a sack.
Sure. I get you. Yeah, that's interesting. We had a little position discussion there because it's so interesting how different people view it. Like, and it gets into schematics and all that stuff.
It's 100%. No, that was a good conversation to have, because I can't lie to you. There's been times where I'm like, what are we talking about? Where I'm like, I don't agree with you at all. And I think that's where our miscommunication disagreements have come in from. Sure. It's like, we view it as different.
The way I think of it, if this helps me a lot, and the new Madden NCAA football games have done actually a pretty good job of this. Like in my mind, like there's the edge positions in the new football games, and then there's the defensive tackle positions. Like the defensive tackle positions are all that, like when you have three defensive tackles on that little depth chart, all three of those guys are going to line up on the 3-4. Like they're going to be the three defensive linemen on the 3-4. You know what I'm saying? So like Logan Hall and Kalijah Cansey and Elijah Roberts are all technically defensive tackles, while Vita Vea is like his own separate category because he's a nose tackle. But like the rest of those guys could potentially line up next to Vita Vea. You know what I'm saying? Greg Gaines is also technically a nose tackle. So like that's kind of where my head was at with this one.
That's fair. And I guess again, it just goes back to like the old school fashion of left end, right end, nose tackle.
It's getting into minutia and
exactly.
Yeah, and being
so that's why I had interior D line so low, because that's how I looked at it. Like you're on the inside of the D line. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. That's why I had it low.
Yeah, and when they drafted Elijah Roberts last year, he was technically like an edge / defensive tackle.
Yeah.
So like, they're very interchangeable. We're getting into like the nitty gritty kind of like silly minutia stuff of it, but yeah. So anyways, okay. So we had interior defensive lineman, running back. We just talked way too long about interior defensive lineman.
You know what? We got to fill time.
That's right.
It's the beauty of the trenches.
Hell yeah. That's right. The beauty of the trenches indeed. But running back I thought was more interesting because obviously Rachaad White is gone. They're not bringing him back. So Sean Tucker, I think he's also a free agent as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, restricted. He's restricted.
So restricted, so they could technically bring him back, but even if they did, they still probably want to bring in a second guy. I still think round 3 would probably be too high for running back. What are y'all's thoughts? I don't know, Zach. I know you're a big running back guy. Do you think?
I was gonna say I feel like it's just me and you talking a lot, so I want to hear Musab's thoughts first. If you're cool with that,
sure, of course. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No.
I've got some.
No worries at all. No. I had running back. I had running back at number 5. I mean, I don't think it's
Okay.
like a glaring need. The same way the front 7 is for the defense, or hell, even our offensive line too. But more of just kind of like a rotational position, kind of a plug-in guy. Just honestly, just someone who can fill in. Rashad White's role, and I don't think it's going to be that hard. Now. I got high hopes, or hopefully we work something out with Sean Tucker. I want to see more of Sean Tucker,
I do
but
too.
I do think that round 3 is too early, for a running back pick.
Yeah, especially with the depth of running backs, especially in these past 2 drafts, have been pretty good. Like you can get a very solid rotational running back, maybe not necessarily a starter, but they already have a starter. Bucky Irving should theoretically be their starter this season. Fingers crossed with his injury concerns and whatnot. But yeah, I think that round 3 would be a little too early. But yeah, it's sort of similar to quarterback and safety in that round 4 on, I think it's open game. So yeah, I'm in full agreement. I think that we might be unanimous on this. Zach, I don't know though. Are you higher on some running backs than we are?
I mean, it's to be determined still. There's one running back, obviously, Jeremiah Love. Like, if you have the chance to take him, I don't think unless you do some crazy work in free agency, I would never be okay with taking at this specific team taking a running back that high.
Right.
But Jeremiah Love is I think he's a freak of nature, can play slot, like legitimately can play slot. Like his route running is like a wide receiver.
Yeah, he's great.
So I think he's kind of a Swiss Army knife. But that's the only one I think I'd be comfortable taking in the first 2 rounds. 3, if there's a guy that slips, I don't think I'd be mad at taking a running back in the 3rd round.
Oh, wow. Okay. A little bit more bullish on it.
Don't get me wrong. It's not like my ideal, this is what I want, because I've got running back as the 6th most important.
Yeah, me too.
Mostly because we have, I think it's Josh Williams and Bucky Irving are the only active on the roster backs. Whereas, we have Sean Tucker, but Sean Tucker had some big games. So if somebody wanted to pay him to be a starter, I don't know that Tampa can afford to pay him as a starter. I think that if we sign Sean Tucker back, then that drops this need maybe off the list for me.
Wow. Okay.
Just because
me too, for sure. It would just be the Buck and Tuck show.
I think Bucky and Sean Tucker are the perfect duo. Like, they complement each other so well. I love that combination at running back. Obviously, undrafted guys, you want to bring in somebody, maybe a cheap free agent. You still need a 3rd or 4th running back, but I don't know that you go necessarily get one in the draft if you have Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving ready to go with Josh Williams.
Wow,
but if you don't bring back Sean Tucker, then I think it might move up because you do need.
Yeah.
Bucky is coming off of surgery now. He just had surgery, if I'm not mistaken. So now you've got concerns there. While I still think Bucky is good enough to be the starting running back,
of course,
I don't want to solely rely on Bucky Irving and then go into Josh Williams as Bucky goes down. You know what I'm saying? So I think it all depends on what happens up until this point. But looking at it right now, I think it's low and not too concerning.
Yeah. I think this one, I mean, we'll come back to, I don't think we're going to change these too much. I don't think we'll change these rankings too much, but I do think Sean Tucker probably returns. And like y'all said, maybe that downgrades it a little bit, but I don't know. I do think that there's a very real possibility that the Bucs look at Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving and think, well, it'd be good to have a 3rd guy. So we'll see how it plays out. But running back and defensive line, definitely 2 positions to watch out for in this draft. Which brings us to our next one. Offensive line and tight end are the next 2. Tight end's a big one. I know that Cade Otton is a free agent. Reviews on Cade Otton, some people like him, some people don't like him. Baker seems to really like him. Some people really seem to think he's a good blocker. I know, Zach, you do not like Cade Otton. But Mr. Tariq, what are your thoughts on the tight end room for the Bucs? I know Payne Durham and Devin Culp are there, but those aren't exactly necessarily the first guys you think of when you think of a starting caliber NFL tight end. So what are your thoughts on that?
I have to say, thinking about the whole, free agency situation as well with Cade Otton, I do have to say, I mean, he's not in my eyes someone, you're looking out the window and be like, oh man, how do I work something out to get this guy, it kind of just, it's just like, thanks for what you, were able to do. But I don't know. I mean, rightfully so. I've seen some mocks, with us getting, tight ends. I forgot who it was. I think it was the tight end from Indiana or Ohio State. I saw one of them. But anyways, and it just makes sense, Clearly, yeah, Culp and Payne Durham are not the solution at all. And if we got to let Auden go, and if Auden wants to go elsewhere, that's fine. I mean, it's I'm kind of just meh on it now. At first I was like, oh man, but now I'm just like, I don't think anything regarding our tight end room has ever been kind of game changing.
Right.
It's just stood out at times. It's just stood out at times because our wide receiver room is like, just been hit by the injury bug. So it's like, it's like those bad teams that just have like stars. It's like someone's got to score the points on that team. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Very much. Yeah. The
NBA.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think that's what we saw happen this year. It's like, okay, well, a lot of starters down. All right. We got Auden for a reason there. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So let's see what he can do. Yeah. But now,
Kate Auden.
Yeah, now it's like, look, it's off season. Let's freshen up and let's reevaluate.
For sure. Yeah, I don't blame you, man. Yeah, I think we're starting to creep in. I think offensive line is still one that maybe they spend a 3rd round pick on, but anything earlier than that, I'd be surprised. Tight end starts to get into like, oh, they could spend like a 2nd or maybe even a 1st round pick on this position. I would maybe hold off on a 1st round pick just because their wide receiver room is so good. They have so many pass targets for that offense, like with like Buka and Godwin and McMillan, and maybe they bring Mike Evans back. Then drafting a tight end that high might be, then you're missing out on addressing the defense. And then it's like, well, what are we doing here? So I don't know. I'm a little less bullish on tight end that high, but 2nd round and later, I think I'm cool with, especially if they don't bring Otten back. But there is a very real world where they look at Otten and maybe he goes out into the free agency market. He doesn't get any good offers, and the Bucs are like, well, for $3 or $4 million, Cade Otton's a fine starting tight end, and then they can use these draft picks on other positions that are more important that we'll get to later on in this conversation. But Zach, I know you were a little bit more bullish. Where did you have tight end on your rank?
I have tight end at 4.
Okay, yeah. So that's
tight end at 4, and I was specific with interior O-line at 5.
Yes.
I'm terrified to draft a center in the 1st round again because Graham Barton, as I said, was trash. I'm sorry, I'm being hateful. I have said there was a couple times where I was wrong, but he proved to me this season that he was not worthy of a 1st round pick, in my opinion. But I do think that 3rd round is kind of where I see interior O-line. This appears to be a deep draft for O-line. There's a lot of people I like in this draft. Tight end is the 1st position. My top 4, if they take them in rounds 1, 2, or 3, I'm happy. There's one tight end I really like, Kenyon Sadiq.
Oh, he's an animal, dude.
Yeah,
he's an animal. He's probably the only tight end. I'll be like, all right, fine.
That's what I'm saying. If he were to fall to us at 15 and we took him at 15, I would be a happy camper.
Yeah, I think I'm on that level too.
Yeah, I don't think that there is another tight end that if we took in the 1st round, I'd be happy with.
Yeah, same here.
And that's not to hate on anyone else in the draft. I think there's a few other 1st round guys, or maybe 1 or 2 other 1st round guys, not a few. But I think that Sadiq is just a freak of nature athlete, and I think he would make me feel comfortable. I don't want to say Mike Evans not coming back, but like getting rid of Godwin kind of a deal, where I'm like, we don't need all these wide receivers. So it kind of gives us trade bait necessary, kind of. But I think starting at number 4 tight end for me, any of these guys that we're about to say after this, I'm happy if we take them 1st, 2nd, 3rd round.
Yeah. And we'll you know what, we'll just get into the those 3 positions, and it's edge, interior linebacker, and cornerback. Yeah, I'm with you. Really, any of these three positions, 1, 2, 3, I'm cool. These are all pretty massive needs. Jamel Dean is probably not going to return. Then you're depending on Benjamin Morrison probably stepping up, because I think they're pretty, and rightfully so, pretty sold on Jacob Parrish in the slot or the nickel, whatever you want to call it. He did a great job last year at that spot. But Benjamin Morrison, is he really the guy moving forward? I don't know. They spent a second round pick on him, so they could very well look at him and say, oh yeah, we're confident that he can step up. But he's got injury concerns, and obviously the Bucs cornerback room for the past decade has had injury concerns. So it's one of those spots that even if they're not necessarily drafting a starter, I would be perfectly fine with them spending a third or even a second round pick on this spot. And then interior linebacker, tough scene. It's not looking good. Who knows what Levante David does? And even if he is returning, they still need to draft at least one other starter to go along with him, if not another sort of project guy, because Servassier Dennis just did not work out last year. It was brutal. He was one of the worst linebackers in football in coverage. So not great. And the free agents just don't really inspire me in this interior linebacker spot either. I mean, there are a few that could be good, but in terms of a long-term solution, I'm not sure that there's anyone that I could see them giving like a 3 or 4 year deal. There are a few guys that are worth a 1 year little tryout type of thing, and they could start alongside a high first round or second round pick. But in terms of, you don't want to double dip in free agency with interior linebacker. I really think they need to address this position for the future, like give themselves at least one solidified starter moving forward. So that's my thoughts there. And then edge, man, it's been years since the Bucs have had a good pass rusher. It feels like it's been a while. They got Yaya Diaby. He's great. I love Yaya. He's really good. But man, when you only have one guy that's even really a solidified NFL starter, it's going to be really tough. And that's kind of been the case since Yaya arrived. So. Yeah, they need another starter, man. They need another good guy out there. And I'm thinking they're probably going to try it again in the draft. Hopefully it's not another JTS situation, but we'll see. Musab, what are your thoughts on these three positions? Where did you have them ranked? Like, was it edge, interior linebacker, and corner the way we have it, or did you have it in a different order? Give me something.
Yeah, I had it that way. Yeah, edge, interior linebacker, and corner.
Okay.
Our three beloved defensive positions where, like I've told you before, if our DBs ain't got it, hopefully our pass rush can do the job.
Right.
If our pass rush can't do the job, then hopefully our DBs got it. Well, guess who's in the top three? The pass rush and our DBs. Why is that? Well, look what happened this year. So, just we have no proven depth on specifically, with the interior linebacker, with Levante David, sunsetting away probably. Servassier Dennis is clearly not the solution, and there's nothing behind him. And then, cornerback, as you mentioned, you already took the words out of my mouth. After Dean is probably gone, and then after that, it's like, okay, so we're just going to be relying on Morrison, but injury bug is bound to happen. So just. Right. Yeah, and then edge, I honestly was actually thinking about it as you were speaking, kind of the way Zach feels about the edge is just, when have we haven't struck, gold on edge for such a long time. So, is the fifth or sixth time the lucky charm.
Right.
I think I just have like some bias towards, I think, the edge position. I just, I'd rather, have a nasty like edge rusher than, like a solidified interior linebacker. But now I feel like I'm kind of changing my mind. I feel like because based on what you said, Carter, which is, interior linebacker, man, we got to have at least one solid guy. So, I mean, there's also free agency. Those are kind of just, it's like 1A, 1B. Yeah, but the corner is also, corner rightfully is, at number 3 because it's up there. So,
I do think that there are a few linebackers that I'd be like cool with them taking in the first round, but there are also a lot of Zach. I think you spoke on this earlier. There are linebackers that are going to be available in the second and third round that I think are actually very quality starters and that would be very good picks for this position. Whereas I do not feel that way about the edge spot. Like there are guys in the first round coming off the edge that I think will be good at 15. If they're waiting for the second or third round at that spot, then man, they could get into some trouble where it's just kind of the same issue as last year. The same issues that they've had for a while now. So I don't know. I get the apprehension about drafting a pass rusher in the first round because they've done it a few times now and it hasn't worked out. But if the solution or if the counter argument to that is just, oh, well, just don't spend any draft picks on the edge. Well, that's not the solution either. So I don't know. It's a tough spot. Definitely 1A, 1B. They're very interchangeable for me. They'll spend either a first or a second round pick on either one of those positions. If they don't, then that's going to be a separate conversation. But Zach, I know you're itching to speak on this because I'm a big fan of Jacob Rodriguez as well. So that's
and I've seen him on mocks.
I mean, Jacob Rodriguez is the ideal candidate for me.
Right, and he'll be there in the second round.
I have interior linebacker as our number one need. I've got interior linebacker, edge, corner. I do not want Tampa taking an edge in the first round. I don't think that Tampa has the ability to draft a competent edge, if I'm being completely real with you. We've failed to year in and year out. We've not had a double-digit sack guy since Shaq Barrett in, I believe, 2021. So,
yeah.
And I can't think of the last time we had a double-digit sack guy that we drafted.
Right, yeah.
So I don't want to see this regime go through another – failed. I've seeing a lot of Cassius Howe in the first round. I think he's a good. I like him. I think he looks good, but I don't know if I think 15 is too early for him. If I'm being honest, but Sonny Styles, if we take him at 15, he's him. My fear is that if we take Sonny Styles 15, we're not getting Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah.
But I do think how we doubled up on corner last year, I think this is the year to double up on inside linebacker because
that's a perfectly viable thing. Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think Levante David should be a full-time starter in the league anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. He did not play well the last 2 seasons. Like, I would love to have him back as like a mentor guy, come in, get some snaps. But if we're relying on him to be our number one inside linebacker, then we're not going to be a successful defense again. And then corner, I mean, we say it every year. I say it every year. I'm not high on Zion McCollum. He's showed us that I don't think he's worth what we're paying him. Jacob Parrish, great pickup last year. Love him playing the nickel. While I do think Morrison could be a good corner, I don't know. I'm scared with his injury stuff because back in college he was hurt. He was hurt this offseason or last offseason in training camp. So it's like if he can give me a fully healthy season, if we get through training camp and he's fully healthy, I'm comfortable with him being CB1 or 2. But we haven't seen that yet. So I still – these 3, if we took any of these 3 in the first round, I'd be happy with it. There's a few corners I really like. There's a few inside linebackers and a few edges. Again, edge I wouldn't be happy with just because of our past, but I think we need it. I would like to see edge addressed more in free agency than the draft.
Yeah, it's tough, because I mean, they sort of have tried all the different routes, right? Like they've drafted someone and that did not work out, and they brought in Hassan Reddick as a free agent.
For deals though, like I think you've got to stop being cheap and go get the guy you want. You cannot tell me that they went into free agency and they were like, Hassan Reddick, that's the guy we want. No, there's no shot. They wanted someone better. Hassan Reddick didn't have a market, and they were like, hey, we'll give you a 1-year prove-it deal, and this is why I go against 1-year prove-it deals on prime positions. Like a 1-year prove-it deal for an edge.
Right, Jason Light probably just found a couple of nickels under his sofa. It's like, great, look at that. I can get Hassan Reddick now.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me to go, hey, this guy hasn't got a contract offered to him. He's had 2 years of bad attitude and not great play. let's bring him in and see how he does.
Yeah, no,
they gave him $14 million last year. This wasn't like a throwaway. Like this wasn't the Randy Gregory deal
where they just market, that's a pretty cheap deal.
I guess, but it's not the Randy Gregory deal where you're giving him like $5 million and it's like, oh well, this guy's not even going to necessarily.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Hassan Reddick was
viewed as a starter last year, like going into last year,
but a cheap starter. Like
sure,
yeah, and that's where my head's at. Like it was a prove it deal as far as being a starting DN. If we were paying a backup DN $12 million or $14 million, we wouldn't be happy about that.
Yeah. See, I think Zach our first round or like free agent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When I say free agent, I mean the obvious
valuable. Rightfully so. Yeah, we haven't seen anything, and
there are better players that would be more impactful in free agency than in the draft this year.
I do actually want to ask you all a question because Carter actually brought up the idea with the whole interior linebacker. You know, he's not sold on the interior linebacker free agency pool. Is there one position, free agency pool that you're kind of sold on where you're like, okay, maybe we do something with the free agency on that position and then we don't have to worry about it in the draft? Are you going to say Max Crosby?
You'd be stupid not to say Max Crosby. Like
he's not a free agent.
That's why I'm saying Max Crosby. Yeah, that's an off-season move. I'd love to made. But if we're talking strictly free agents, I think I'm high on quite a few interior linebackers, if I'm being honest with you. Devin Lloyd being my favorite one. Devin Bush being another really good option. Quay Walker. I think could move more to an edge outside linebacker position. But Quay Walker, there's a few that I'm high on. I don't know, outside of Devin Lloyd, I don't know that there is one that I like more than Sonny Styles and Jacob Rodriguez.
And Devin Lloyd's getting paid. Like he's great.
He's gonna get. But I do think there's a chance he doesn't get the money that we're thinking, only because he had. Did he play all 5 years on his rookie contract, or was it 4? I don't know if they picked up his option or not.
Not sure. That's a good question.
Whatever it was, he played either 3 or 4 mediocre seasons up until this last season. He had a really big breakout season, but he's 4 or 5 years in. Yeah. So I do think there's a chance that someone doesn't, or that people don't pay him as much as, let's say, if Jack Campbell came out and was in his contract year, he's getting paid because he's produced the whole time. Whereas Devin Lloyd has only produced great one season.
I think the tough part there is people, you could look at Zach Baughn's contract as kind of an example as to, well, like a guy played at a really high level for 1 year, and I feel it's 1 year, but you're kind of banking on that, and free agency is always going to be like a tough return on investment.
Agreed.
You're going to have
I think you're probably right. I do think he gets paid, but I do think there is a world where he doesn't, if that makes sense.
And I think the tough part about it is if you do bring in Devin Lloyd, then that ties up a lot of money. You're not bringing back Mike Evans. Obviously, Levante David is out of the question too. Which
if we would stop being cheap, we could have so much.
Oh, money. I mean, that was just gonna. Yeah, I just feel like this is just a numbers game and
realistic with it that we're not gonna stop being cheap.
Right.
But I guess I'm looking more at in the perfect world, we could make something happen.
Sure, of course. Yeah, if the Glazers were more willing to open their pocketbooks, then yeah, absolutely bring back Mike Evans and bring in Devin Lloyd and then go from there. But unfortunately, I think we talked about this the last episode too, trying to live in the world that we're living in. You know what I mean? Like Jason Light is dealing with the Glazers, and that's where we're at. And obviously it'd be great if they sold the team to more willing ownership who actually has cash that they want to spend. That would be great. Unfortunately, that's not where we're at. So I guess I'm trying to think of things that are more in the world of what the Glazers and the Bucs can.
What fits in the Glazers' budget? Yeah, and
I put the offseason because of course they could afford to spend more. Of course they could. The Glazers are incredibly wealthy, so they could spend more money, but they're not going to because that's how sports ownerships work. It's the world we live in. But I'm with you. It's frustrating, man. I'd love for the Bucs to be able to bring in Devin Lloyd and then still retain Mike Evans, because then it makes this draft process, I think, a lot easier. Then you can kind of then you could maybe stomach drafting an edge rusher in the first round a little bit easier. I
still wouldn't. I still wouldn't.
Well,
I don't care if we went out and signed Devin Lloyd, traded for Roquan Smith, and had the perfect middle linebacker defense. I wouldn't want this team drafting an edge no matter what.
What if they drafted Jacob Rodriguez in the second or third round? Then it would be
well, no. Then I said I wouldn't care at all. I said,
all right. I want to make sure you're holding to that.
Once we draft, but I don't want them to. Like, if we draft Jacob Rodriguez, you know what? All is forgiven. I don't care.
Okay, fair enough.
That guy is gonna suck. Not Jacob Rodriguez. Whatever edge you draft is gonna suck. I just have to come to deal with that. It is what it is. But we got Jacob Rodriguez. So
yeah, I guess I think a good comp for edge rushers, especially with the Bucs, like I view edge rushers in just being sort of, this is a rough metaphor or comparison, sort of being like the quarterback spot on the offensive side of the ball, where like, yeah, you're going to miss and you're going to miss big, but when you hit big, it's like it changes your whole defense. Like it's one of those things where like if you hit on the edge room and you get a Micah Parsons or a Max Crosby or fill in the blank, Myles Garrett, whoever, then you literally transform your defense, and then that's like your foundational building block. We're never trading.
I mean, a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. So,
and that's kind of it. So it's the high risk, low reward type.
But I'd rather risk it on a position that we've proven to draft well.
Yeah, I feel that.
Because and comparing it to quarterback, we've never drafted a good quarterback either. So
right, yeah. So but that's the thing. You know, how many teams can say they've drafted a good quarterback? It's kind of a shorter list than you'd think. So I don't know. It's a difficult thing. I'm not sure what their thought process is. You know, it seems like they have a shifting one. The good news is Jacob Rodriguez seems to pass a lot of the. I think Jason Light put it in the offseason last year. Don't be a asshole test. Jacob Rodriguez passes that test, so he's all set. It's all good. Like he won't be a turd. He won't be a problem in the locker room. Knock on wood, he hasn't gotten into any legal trouble or anything like that. So at least he passes that test. So the likelihood of them drafting him is about as high as anybody else. Like I think that's actually a pretty good fit. So hopefully they fulfill Zach Blaine's dreams and they bring Rodriguez in, because that'd be a lot of fun. I'm with you. I like him. He seems like a good leader. He seems like he would be able to fill Levante David's shoes in that way. So I think that'd be really cool. But if you're looking to fill your wardrobe, if you're looking at your closet and thinking, man, I could use a Jacob Rodriguez in my closet, shop.rblrsports.com is the Jacob Rodriguez of wardrobe upgrades. We've got you covered for everything Tampa Bay sports related. And we'll give you a promo code because it's the drolls of the offseason. It's depressing. Cannon, CANNONS. Type that bad boy in, get 10% off your entire order, and lift your spirits a little bit because there's no football. So moving on to second half of our episode, I guess we can call it. I usually say that, but it's not really necessarily the second half because I think it'll be a little shorter because we're 45 minutes deep. Man, that was a good segment. That was a good long segment. But
I like that, man. It was good debate, good conversation.
Yeah, sure. and we're not quite done yet, so hold your horses. I did want to ask y'all if there were any positions that like just missed this list for y'all. Like I know we kind of covered a lot of them. Like I think the only position that maybe wasn't listed is wide receiver, and I guess for y'all's individual list, I guess would be a good question. Zach, we'll start with you, man. What positions just missed?
Safety just missed for me. Okay. I was telling you guys in the chat, the top 4 needs are so glaring. And then, like, we get into the bottom 3 on our list, and it's like interior O-line. Like, I think we could get by with our interior O-line we have now.
Yeah.
I think we could sign an undrafted free agent and be okay at running back. Like, then quarterback, like if we brought in Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance, like a young – not Jimmy Garoppolo's not young, but like Trey Lance is young and going to be probably significantly cheaper than most probably a rookie we draft, if I'm being honest with you. So it's like if those are all positions that if we didn't draft any of those bottom 3 interior, I guess technically 4 if you count the tie at 7th. If we didn't draft any of those, like I feel like we're okay in terms of we have people that can fill in and play. And that was why, like, when I was telling you guys that, it's like those top 4, we don't have a starting lineup right now of those. Right. So those are the only 4 glaring holes that I see. I would love an upgrade at all the 7, but if the only one that really kind of missed my list is safety, and I don't think we necessarily need a safety.
Yeah, that was probably the main position for me as well. And an interior offensive line just missed my list too, because I do think that they need some backups there, because Ben Bredesen went down and it got ugly. It got ugly real quick. So maybe just spending like a day 3 pick on that position would be fine. But Musab Tariq, what were some positions that just missed your list?
Actually, what missed my list was the safety and the quarterbacks.
Okay,
I actually didn't have that on my list. Yeah, so both of those, I would probably go for. I can't imagine. I wanted to choose another one, but it's really those that really just missed it. The ones I think we're all good on, like wide receiver. I think we can just hold off on, unless we see some crazy hidden gem from Wingate University in the 7th round, from 5'7", some 5'7", like fresh out of Germany prospect, still learning English.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, just
you could be the next. What was the guy? Bobo.
Oh yeah, the guy for Seattle.
Punt returner. Yeah, he could be a punt returner.
Wilson, right?
Bobo Wilson. Yeah,
that's right.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was Jack Bobo.
Jack Bobo. Yeah, Jack Bobo.
Wide receiver from.
No, but I was talking about Bobo Wilson though. Yeah, because I remember
there is a Bobo Wilson. Yeah.
Hey, he was on our Bucs squad for a hot second, I think.
Shout out the Bobos, man. Shout
out the Bobos, man.
That's right.
I'm actually a big fan of Jack Bobo.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good.
I don't know if it's Jack or Jake. I think it's
Jake Bobo.
I think it's Jake.
Yeah. Jake
starts with a J and ends with a K. That's all I know.
Right. That's right.
Jake Bobo. Yeah,
that's right. So are there any? So I guess the Musab, you kind of brought it up, but and I think that sort of answers the question for you. But Zach, are there any positions that you'd be like really surprised to see the Bucs invest in, or are you kind of like I don't know?
The same regime that took a kicker in the 2nd round.
Right.
I would not be surprised at anything with this front office. But me personally, I think if we took there's nothing. That's such a dumb answer, and I apologize. It's a boring answer, but I genuinely don't think anything is off the table. Now, if we took a quarterback round 1, then yeah, I'd be like, "What the hell are we doing?"
I think even Baker would probably call up Jason Light and be like, "Are you drunk?"
Having a Kirk Cousins situation in Tampa, but yeah, I don't think that there's anything that would necessarily surprise me with this team. Mostly because it's just this front office is. I don't think it's a stretch to say they're clinically insane.
Okay, well, I guess we'll have to have them tested in that regard. But
I would like to, and I think we might.
Shout out Brent.
Shout out Brent. Hey, he's back. You now have to draft a quarterback in the 1st round for him to be our franchise quarterback. That's a very good point.
Exactly.
Agree. I mean, I don't think we have a 1st-round quarterback that's been a franchise guy.
Who made the rule that only 1st-round quarterbacks are franchise quarterbacks? Hey, that's true, man. There's not necessarily a rule.
I think there's actually probably a lot of guys in the NFL that aren't 1st-round guys.
Yeah. I mean, Dak Prescott wasn't a 1st-round guy. If you consider
you probably have a better hit rate in the 1st round on franchise guys than later rounds, but I don't think it's necessarily a rule.
No, not at all.
And I think that's where a big part of you don't have as much faith in a 4th-round quarterback as a 1st-round guy.
Right. And I think another thing
that they can't do it, but it's the likelihood is higher for an early round guy to be your franchise quarterback.
And from an opportunity perspective, you don't have nearly as much invested in that 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
Cutting a 4th-round pick, that happens all the time. You move on from those guys every year. So that's not as big of a deal.
Yeah, if your 1st-round quarterback comes in and has a trashy first season, he's less likely to see a 2nd season, whereas you bring in a 1st-round guy, you're not cutting a 1st-round guy year 2, so he might make that jump. Quarterback is a position that I think takes time to develop, and we're seeing these younger guys kind of come in and show out right away, which is cool. But I think if you have a guy that develops into that, it makes him a better player in the long run. So I think that you just have more incentive to hold on to that 1st-round quarterback longer as opposed to a 2nd or 3rd round guy where you can just go, he had a bad season. We'll just draft another one.
Yeah, and that sort of gets into this recent trend with Baker Mayfield's a great example. Sam Darnold just won a Super Bowl. The retread quarterbacks, or I think that's kind of a gross way of putting it. There was a podcast I listened to that called them Phoenix quarterbacks because they rose from the ashes. Yeah, but trying to make it less like, oh, these guys sucked and now they're kind of okay, like being less harsh about their beginnings. And you see that, you've seen that in the NFL recently. Even Daniel Jones with the Colts, that's sort of a similar thing. And it's kind of a fascinating thing. Even Geno Smith sort of had that little time in Seattle where he wasn't too. I know he was awful last year with the Raiders. Don't get me wrong, I get it.
I think it was the Raiders. If I'm being honest with you, I think that Geno Smith is going to get another opportunity to play, and I think he can still make a little bit of noise. Not as much as when he was in Seattle, but
hey, no, I'm with you, man. I thought any quarterback would have struggled the way Geno Smith struggled this past year in Vegas. Really a horrible situation out there. So yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. But I know that's not the consensus. A lot of people think Geno Smith sucks, which hey, maybe he does. But I'm definitely not a rule that he has to be drafted in the first round. And maybe the Bucs do view some guys in this draft class that are like, hey, this guy could maybe be a starter moving forward for us, especially if he just sits for a year. I think that's an added bonus of spending a day 3 pick or a later pick than a first round pick on a quarterback, because then there's not that added pressure of, oh, we just spent a first round pick on this guy.
And also, I think he was touching on a point where, like, if we were to draft him in the first round, it'd piss Baker off.
Right.
I think that goes into, there are so many other needs on this team for the first round that if we draft a quarterback in the first round, I'm expecting a first round talent to make an impact day one.
Right. That's
right. Oh yeah.
If you're drafting him to be your quarterback of the future, that means he's not doing anything for me day one. So if I draft a quarterback day one, that needs to mean Baker is off this team and he is starting right away. And I don't want that. I think Baker is a completely serviceable quarterback.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of what makes it such a frustrating way of doing business. That's what gets me kind of rankled sometimes about quarterback development in the NFL is that, these teams, they don't there's some name for it, but it's basically the bias that, like, you want to do the right thing. You don't want to just do the thing that's going to save your job. You want to do the thing that's good for the building. Like, they talk about that in the NFL. Like, you want to do what's right for the building, not just the thing that's going to keep your job. And very often you see them just rush quarterbacks into starting, and that's not good for the team. That's just good for you, because then it's like, oh, well, we need to see what we have in this guy so that I can save my job, So yeah, it can be frustrating to watch NFL teams deal with their quarterback play. But hopefully the Bucs can address the position without feeling the need to rush him, without Baker having to look over his shoulder. I'm sure if it's a 5th round pick, Baker is very much secure enough to know, like, hey, like, we need a backup. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm sure that's the thought process in there. But yeah, we'll see if they address that spot, and it's going to be interesting to monitor that storyline. But one last question before we sort of depart. And I think this is the most interesting question for me, because we brought up interior linebacker for this discussion. But we saw it last year with the cornerback spot. They went back-to-back with cornerback picks. Are there any spots, maybe not necessarily back-to-back, but are there any positions where you think the Bucs could draft twice in this upcoming draft?
Ooh, this is tough. Other than interior linebacker, back-to-back though is that's
back-to-back would be tough. Even just double dipping throughout the
draft. Oh, double dipping. I could see some double dipping for a couple. I mean, I could see double dipping with the interior linebacker. I could see double dipping for cornerback, edge. Yeah. I'll probably say those 3. I'll probably say our top 3. I could see us double dipping with those.
Yeah, interior linebacker especially, and like you said, edge is definitely number 2 in that regard. I would be a little, because they double dipped on corners last year, and they've got the 3 with Parrish, Morrison, and McCollum. So I would be maybe a little surprised if they double dip there, because then that gives them 5, like, actually pretty, at least, like, guys who you wouldn't feel like white knuckling starting, whereas, like, interior linebacker, you feel white knuckling starting.
Were we watching the same defense last year, brother? I was white knuckling every pass that went in the air, whether it was to the corners or the linebackers.
Well, fair enough. But regardless, Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they double dipped on interior linebacker or edge, but yeah, maybe a little bit with corner. But even then, I'd be okay with it.
I'm of the same mindset. As much as I joke about needing corners, I think if we double dip again at corner, we're leaving space somewhere else. I think our top two, edge and interior linebacker, are the two most. I wouldn't be shocked if we double dipped at both of them, because that's how bad we need it.
No, they are. Yeah.
I think you are almost guaranteed to double dip at inside linebacker.
Wow.
Even if you, because you need to.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's a Zach Blaine guarantee, huh? That's
I would be shocked if they didn't, dude. And I'm not saying it's going to be round 1, round 2, round 3. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be consecutively.
Sure.
Listen, you get Sonny Styles and Jacob Rodriguez, the things I would do.
Man,
I would be
I don't
so
know if you want to know the things you would do. That sounds like a fun time that you would have a good time with that. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I definitely wouldn't be opposed to it at all. I think the only pushback on the guarantee part of it would just be that I think they might view like Servassier Dennis as the third linebacker, and then they bring in a free agent, like an outside guy, to fill that second interior linebacker spot. Because there are, like you said, there are some decent guys out there that they could give even like a 1 or 2 year deal that's lower dollar amount than Devin Lloyd. Like
Alex Anzalone.
Alex Anzalone? Hey, he's not bad. Yeah, he's not bad. He would be fine as a second.
Not a long-term solution, but can come in and mentor somebody else, kind of a deal.
100%. And maybe they view Levante David in that world. Maybe they bring him back.
Okay.
I feel you.
We need someone that can also play.
I feel you. But watching Levante David play in a different uniform would also be depressing. That would suck. I don't want that to happen either. So I don't know.
If it's between him playing for us or him playing for somebody else, go play for somebody else. If that's the two options, brother, it's been fun. You're a legend. Your jersey will be retired here one day. But I need people that can produce on the field. And look, I love the idea of having people retire as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer and all this, but I also want to put a competent defense on the field. And Levante David is not a competent starting like prime linebacker anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough, man. I see the logic and the brutal cutthroat, nature of what you're saying, but man, it's tough because Levante David seems like a nice guy and he's done a lot for the team. So it's
fully
tough.
Agree. Like, I love the dude. I think he will be a Tampa Bay legend forever. It doesn't matter if he goes and plays somewhere else.
Right.
But at the same time, like, we can't pay him starter money and have him be our starter on this defense.
Yeah, and I don't think that he would. I think he's, if we're sitting here saying that, hey, Levante David looked rough last year, they know it. I'm sure he knows it too.
I think everyone feels that way.
And more realistically, other teams in the NFL know that too. So like other teams in the NFL aren't going to be itching to give him $8 million to go play linebacker for their team. They know, hey, this guy's at the twilight of his career. If he wants to go play his last season in Tampa Bay for $3 million or whatever little amount they want to give him, then let him. Otherwise, I think he's probably going to retire because the market just isn't going to be what he demands. And he's made enough money to where, like, I think if he's on the edge, then it's like, man, just retire, man. You've had a great career. Yeah. I think that's probably where his head's at. And he was very reflective in his last press conference after that victory against the Panthers at the end of the season. It sounded as if he was giving his retirement. Like he was very much like, hey, thank you guys so much for treating me the way you did. Like it, very much a reflective attitude at the end there. So I think that the ultimate solution is that he just retires anyways. So we're kind of worrying about something that's probably nothing, but you never know.
Agreed 100%.
But regardless, we're coming towards the end of our episode. Really appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hope y'all enjoyed our draft discussion. There's going to be a lot of it. We'll get more in depth with some of our favorite players. We'll talk about Jacob Rodriguez and Sonny Styles and Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon. We'll talk about all these guys. More of an in-depth scouting report look. We'll have our guys. we'll pick him, and hopefully the Bucs draft him, because it's kind of fun when we have a guy that we're looking at, and then the Bucs draft him. I think Logan Hall was one of my guys, unfortunately.
Bad take, brother.
Yeah,
Bad take.
Yeah.
Hey, it happens.
I'm pretty
What
positive.
were you thinking, Carter?
One of mine.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
I don't know what hurt more, him getting picked or me or the whole Buccaneers fan base just waiting to be so excited for that first round pick, and then only to find out it's
only to get it traded.
Yeah, to get it traded.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough, but hey, you swing and miss sometimes. Like stuff happens. But regardless of whether I or Zach or Musab or whoever brings up a guy that turns out to be another dud, we will be back next week talking about some of those potential duds or potential diamonds in the rough, or hidden gems, as Mr. Musab Tariq would like to call them. We'll be back next week. Really appreciate my two wonderful co-hosts for making my job easy. Hit that like and subscribe button on the way out. So until next week, and as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.